everybody, Ira Bruce here with Independent News Network, your common sense source news channel for political news and coming to you from a commonsensical point of view, in my opinion. So anyways, just want to go ahead and start off this video today saying we are almost 2 weeks now from the election. Obviously disappointing in my opinion. And why is it disappointing? It's disappointing simply because I really thought that the Republicans would have taken over the Senate, which they have not. And so it could get even worse as if Herschel Walker is not elected in the Georgia runoff. So I want to first start right out of the gate with saying, everybody needs to support Herschel Walker and contribute to his campaign, which I have done personally. I will tell you that. I'll admit that right off the bat, because I really felt like having Raphael Warnock in there is definitely something that we don't need as independent voters, okay? We're not going to talk about Republicans and Democrats, even though that's pretty much what we have to choose from as far as candidates go. Unfortunately, at this point in time, very few independent voters get elected. Why? And so why is that? Well, the main thing is money, right? Independent candidates don't have the money to campaign and get elected. And why is that? Well, in past videos that I've made, I have really talked against campaign contributions, money in elections. I mean, I really think that just needs to be done away with. So I'm going to just use George Soros as a perfect example. George Soros, with all of his millions and millions of dollars, his billions of dollars, but millions of dollars that he contributes to far left district attorneys and other candidates, he pours money into to try to get these leftist ideas, these radical ideas moving. George Soros, quite simply, is a communist. He comes from Hungary. He's a communist. He's trying to turn this country into a communist country, starting with socialism. And so all you have to do is just look and see who he's trying to put in office, and it becomes pretty plain and clear. So the whole idea of who has the most money in any given campaign is, in my opinion, atrocious. Why should somebody with the most money behind them get elected? John Fetterman, he's another one. He had all of these campaign contributions coming right out of the gate, and so many people voted for him in early voting in Pennsylvania that it was ridiculous. Now, in this video, we're going to hit on all kinds of different topics today. Early voting, in my opinion, there should be early voting 1 week before elections, okay? Let's not have the whole month before an election be open for people to come in and early vote. We only have to go back so far as the last presidential election, where a week before election, Hunter Biden's laptop came to the surface. Now, the left-wing media really tried to squash that news, as well as social media tried to squash that. So I think all these people that voted early and never even heard about that laptop, and quite frankly, many people didn't even hear about the laptop until after the election, but many did. I know Fox News was reporting the laptop, a week or 10 days before the election, when after a lot of people have already early voted. So if we want to have early voting, okay, let's have early voting. Let's not have mail-in ballot voting, unless you can just determine that you cannot get to a precinct. But as far as early voting goes, that should only be at a precinct. You should show your voter ID or your ID in whatever format you have it in and go in and vote. But our elections just are a mess. I mean, you could look at different states and see why do some states have 99% of their votes counted the night of the election. And like I said, in 2 days, it'll be 2 weeks since the elections, and we still don't have all of the candidates chosen. There's 5, I think, House of Representatives that still remain to be chosen for the House of Representatives. Why? 2 weeks after the deadline, after voting day, after November 8th, 2 weeks later, we're still counting votes. We still don't have all the votes counted. That's absurd. This country really needs to do something about that. And it's already proven that it can be done in a lot of other states. Florida, for one, that's a good example. They had 99% of their votes counted that night, okay, before midnight. If Florida can do it, every state can do it, and every state needs to do it. We don't need to be strung out for 2 weeks wondering. Now we're actually strung out until December, until Georgia has their runoff. So this is just a crazy period of time in our country where so much is disarrayed. It's just crazy. But anyways, let's move on from that. Hopefully things will change, and we really need to get that changed. So that's 2 things we've talked about. Money in politics. That should be done away with, okay? Politicians need to be able to run ads, I agree, but there should be like a federal fund that everybody can get their funding equally. And then this way, everybody has equal opportunity to get their message across. And forget about these lobbyists, forget about these outside campaign contributions. Like I said, George Soros, Mark Zuckerberg, he was another one in the last presidential election. $400 million was donated by Mark Zuckerberg towards the Democrats, for the Democrats to change this election. And so they're saying, you know, they're accusing a lot of people of being election deniers. That was a big campaign theme this last election. Oh, he's an election denier. He's an election denier. She is an election denier. The Democrats are out there accusing all these Republicans of being election deniers when they're the biggest deniers in 2016 when Trump got elected. So how can they sit there and say and accuse Republicans of being election deniers when they themselves were the biggest election deniers going when Hillary Clinton didn't get elected? So you know what? So for the life of me, I do not understand why this election turned out the way it did. Thank God that the Republicans took over the House. So they have oversight committees, they have subpoena power, they can go ahead and hold hearings, and that's exactly what needs to be done. Speaking of hearings, here we go again with another special counsel against Donald Trump. As soon as Donald Trump, now they thought, so look, think of it this way. Whoever is running this Democratic Party, right, is very smart. I'm going to give them that. So they went in, they raided Mar-a-Lago, they got all these documents, and they pretty much made a statement saying, we've got all these documents, we've raided your place, now if you dare try to run for the President of the United States again, we're going to come after you for hoarding these documents or removing these documents from the White House. We're coming after you, Donald Trump, so beware. That's basically the message they tried to get across, and it didn't work. So Donald Trump, obviously, he's already announced that he's running. He's out of the gate, and he's moving along. So what's happening now? Well, so the DOJ Merrick Garland has appointed a special counsel look into these documents that Donald Trump took out of the White House that every other president in the past has done. All right? Everyone's done it. Bill Clinton has done it. George Bush has done it. Barack Obama has done it. I mean, all these past presidents have taken documents out of the White House. So how they think that they're going to go ahead and trust me, look, this is November 20th, 2022. Do you not think that, look how long it took for the Russiagate, the Russian investigation against Trump. It was 3 years before they finished that special counsel. So what do you think, how long do you think this is going to take? This is going to be a cloud over Donald Trump. And they're going to, same with the January 6th election. That just went on and on and on and on and on. Do you hear one thing about the January 6th now? Now that the election's over? No! You don't hear one word about January 6th anymore because all that was a play to try to get people to vote Democrat and not Republican. Look how horrible those Republicans are. Look how bad the MAGA movement is. They've raided the Capitol building and had all these hearings, right? And now, what do you hear? Crickets. Nothing. Everything is done now for the January 6th hearings because now the election's over. So, if any of you voted Democrat, hopefully you feel foolish right now. Hopefully you are asking yourself, how was I duped? So let's talk about the other topics the Democrats came up with. It's the end of democracy if you vote Republican. The end of democracy. Democracy is never in jeopardy. Now that's one thing I fault the Republicans on. They never defended themselves when the Democrats came out and said, if you vote Republican, that's the end of democracy. So let's see what the definition of democracy is. Okay, so the definition of democracy over here. A government in which the supreme power is invested in the people and exercised by them directly or indirectly through a system of representation, usually involving periodically held free elections. So the Democrats were saying, this is the end of free elections. If the Republicans get in power, this is the end of the power in the people. I mean, how ridiculous is that? But that's all you heard. That's all you heard. So why didn't the Republicans go ahead and defend themselves, right? And say, look, we're not against democracy. Here's what the definition of democracy is, and go ahead and talk about how all the Democrats are trying to take away your freedom of free elections, right? Because all the elections now, if you think about it, you know, they're all about saying that these elections, that the Republicans are trying to do away with free elections. Absolutely not. I mean, just look at Georgia. Georgia fixed their election problem. And so they had a lot better election. And it came down so close. Now here, let me just kind of take a little step to the side real quick for you. In Georgia, in the Senate, they had 3 people running for the Senate. I don't know if you know that or not, but they had Raphael Warnock, and then they had Herschel Walker. Then they had a third person who was a libertarian. Libertarians typically side with Republicans, right? So this guy who is running as a libertarian never should have run as a libertarian. He totally screwed up that Georgia election. So just think about if the majority of his votes, he's not running in the runoff now. It's only between Warnock and Walker. So this guy that was the libertarian, he's not running in that Georgia runoff. If the majority of his votes go to Herschel Walker, then Herschel Walker's in. And if this guy never really had run as a libertarian, I think he got like 2.5% of the votes. So, like I said, most libertarians side with Republicans, not Democrats. So, if you think about it, let's say 1.5% of the votes go to Walker and 1% go to Warnock, then Walker wins. So that's just kind of how it works. So anyways, that's what democracy means and what the Democrats were running on. Now, what else were they running on? If you vote Republican, they're going to take away your Social Security. That is such an insane idea too. But did the Republicans ever defend themselves when the Democrats came out with that? Absolutely not. They didn't. And why not? Who knows? All they kept saying is, and rightfully so. I mean, the border is totally screwed up. 5 million people have already come into this country already. Illegal aliens. And I'm going to get to why that is in just a second. But, gas prices are so high. And look, that was another ploy by the Democrats, by Joe Biden. It was brilliant. Let's steal out of the strategic reserves and put that oil into the marketplace and bring gas prices down. Now, again, like I said, this is November 20th. You mark my words, prices are going to start going up unless those Republicans do something in the House of Representatives. What, can they do anything? I don't know, right? Who knows if they can fix the border, but at least they're kind of a firewall. There's at least some kind of a firewall now where if they want to get anything done, some deals are going to have to be made here. But they're so all about climate change, who knows if they're ever going to allow oil drilling and refineries being built and opened up. Hopefully they will. So it just remains to be seen, and we will keep reporting on that as things go along. And then let's talk about the border again. So I've always advocated that border is only open for one reason, and one reason only. And why do you think that is? It's not because Joe Biden is so compassionate that he wants to let millions and millions and millions of people pour into this country. Some of them are even on the terror watch list. Many of them are bringing fentanyl, which are killing, they're saying, 300 people a day now here in this country. Now think about that. 300 people a day. Well, 3 times 3 is 9, 365 days a year. So you do the math. It's just incredible the amount of people that are dying, right? Every day, 10 days. 10 days. If 300 people a day are dying, 10 days, 3,000 people are dying in 10 days. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Just seems absurd to me. But regardless, where's fentanyl coming from? Fentanyl is coming from China. So in my opinion, China has in effect waged war against the United States. China is killing so many of our countrymen, so many of our young people by flooding our country with fentanyl. And the fentanyl is going to the Mexican cartel. The Mexican cartel are bringing it in. the Mexican cartel are causing all of our people to die. People might just look as far as the Mexican cartel and say it's the Mexican cartel that's killing everybody. No, it's China sending all of that fentanyl here, and the Mexican cartel are only the third party mules getting that into our country. It's China that is attacking our country. We are under attack by China, folks. Now, Hunter Biden had a direct connection with China and was wheeling and dealing with China. His father, Joe Biden, said that he didn't know anything about Hunter Biden's business dealings, right? Well, that's already been disproven, and James Comer of the Oversight Committee is going to hold hearings on that. And so we have to pay special attention to what kind of involvement Joe Biden had with his son's business dealings. It's all about money, folks. All about money. The greed of this country. Our political system is totally screwed up. And this is the main point I wanted to make in this video. There needs to be a firewall. If somebody wants to run for office, there needs to be an oversight committee that has open access to every person who runs for office, their bank account. Now, guaranteed there's overseas bank accounts. There needs to be an oversight department within the government that oversees every politician's bank accounts and where all the money goes. And we need to make every single politician fearful of accepting bribes, accepting money from lobbyists, accepting money from foreign countries. There needs to be an oversight and make sure that every politician agrees if they're going to run for office, they're running for office for the right reason, for the betterment of this country, not to get rich. And that's mainly what I would say most of candidates run for now. They see all these other politicians. They see how all these other politicians get rich when they run for office and they get elected into office. Absolutely not. That has to go away. That has to stop. I know President Trump is calling for term limits. I'm all for term limits, okay? But that's not going to stop the greasing of the palms of these politicians, right? You know, it's only going to create urgency is all that's going to do. So there needs to be some kind of oversight that every politician has to open up their bank account, and there has to be an accounting office that makes sure that they're all on the up and up, and make sure that China and Russia and Iran and all these other countries cannot pay off our politicians to get favors, to do whatever they want to do. And Joe Biden is at the top of that list. And if we do a real serious investigation of Joe Biden, I guarantee you we will find that Joe Biden, Jim Biden, Hunter Biden are all on the take. They're all being paid, and that needs to be exposed. And then Joe Biden needs to be kicked out of office. He needs to be impeached. And yeah, we're left with Kamala Harris, but you know what? If she messes around, then she's next, right? We need to send a message. This is not acceptable in this country. We can't accept this where you have politicians. That's what I loved about Donald Trump. He's a billionaire. He couldn't be bought. And that's why everybody was so afraid of Donald Trump. They knew he couldn't be bought. And if he can't be bought, he said he was going to clean up the swamp. He was going to drain the swamp. That's what he meant. He was going to clean out all those politicians. He was going to expose all those politicians on the take. And they were all freaking out. Republicans and Democrats were all freaking out in Washington when Trump got elected. They were scared to death that they were going to be exposed for being on the take. Folks, money cannot be the number one motivator in this country. And that's what's happening with our politicians. Money is the number one motivator. That has to be eliminated. I think if you elect people who have served our country, who went to war, who put their lives on the line, those are the patriots that we need. Those are the people who are doing the right thing, and they're going into service for us, to defend us, to continue to defend us, now from the armed services into politics to try to help us. And that's what I was hoping was going to happen in this last election. And it didn't seem that it worked out that well, even though, again, the Republicans were able to take over. Now let's see what they do. We need to be extremely fearful and watchful to make sure and see who's on the take. Eric Swalwell, he's one of the biggest ducks in the pond. As far as, he's already been caught with a with a Chinese spy. He's already been caught, and he's still there. That's amazing to me. I just cannot wrap my mind around the fact that somebody like Eric Swalwell, who was caught with a Chinese spy, is still in Congress. I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and end this video with that. Just wanted to kind of throw that out there, everybody. We want to keep talking on these topics. Let's go ahead and make comments. Let's go ahead. This is INN. This is Independent News Network. This is a channel for independent voters. This is for open-minded, common sense thinking. Let's go ahead and make this a platform for us, because we as independent voters do not have a voice out there. And that's exactly what this channel is for. It's to give independent voters a voice. If we can build this channel big enough, people will start listening and people will watch. Let's make comments. Let's go ahead and tell our like-minded friends, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Let's go ahead and participate. We want participation. We want you to make comments in here. Let's get a dialogue started, okay? So I want to thank you so much for watching this video. And like I said, please, if you're not yet a subscriber, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're already a subscriber, please go ahead and try to get some friends to join on here. Let's make comments. Let's start a dialogue. Hit the notification icon, right? So you'll be notified each and every time that I make a video here. And let's keep this rolling. I'm on YouTube as well as Rumble. Want to make sure you know about that in case we try to get canceled and they cancel us off of YouTube. You could always see us on Rumble. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in our next video.